Hello Internet, this video is part of the Dream Garage playlist on Scott's Garage, where I am finishing and transforming this old garage into hopefully what will be a dream garage. Now in this video I will show you how I blew in cellulose insulation in the walls and then what's called wool insulation in the ceiling. Keep watching. As most of you know, I am a do-it-yourselfer. That's what Scott's Garage is all about. Everything do-it-yourself. Now, sometimes with do-it-yourself, it's doing it yourself for the very first time. And that was the case with this blown-in insulation. I did my research, though. I studied a lot on insulation, the best ways and the most cost-effective ways to insulate a garage. And for me, hands down, based on my research, the most affordable way to insulate a garage, as long as you do it correctly, is to use the cellulose insulation and to blow it in. Now, to do the walls correctly, it has to be high density, which I'll explain later. Now, what is cellulose? Cellulose is basically recycled paper. Here's some right here. And that's what it is. It's recycled paper. And you might say, well, why in the world would you want to use recycled paper? And wouldn't this catch on fire quite easily? And the answer is no, it doesn't catch on fire easily. In fact, it's flame retardant. And that's because they treat it with boric acid. Now, I was concerned about boric acid, but what I found is that it actually is, it's safe for humans to be in contact with boric acid. Do your own research, though. But the boric acid makes it flame retardant. Also, insects, most insects do not like boric acid, so it keeps insects from traveling through your walls. It's very dusty. That's one of the drawbacks with it. But again, it's very affordable, and if you do it correctly, is really good. It's also sound deadening, which is something I wanted as well in the garage. So it made sense based on the cost and the benefits of cellulose to blow in the cellulose. However, when I explained at my local hardware store what I wanted to do and that I wanted to blow everything in using this fabric, and this is insulation fabric, which I'll explain more about here in a minute, and that I wanted to do it even on the ceiling before attaching the OSB plywood, they recommended that for the ceiling I not use the cellulose because it's heavy or heavier, that I use a lighter weight insulation, and they recommended what they call wool. Now, it's not actual real wool, and in reality, it is blown in fiberglass insulation made from recycled glass. Now, I was concerned at first because the fiberglass insulation, with the batting on it, I've always reacted negatively to that. It makes my skin break out and itch, and that I simply didn't want to do that. However, to my surprise, I had no negative reaction to it, and it actually has the feel and consistency of wool. That's why they refer to it as wool insulation. And in the end, I really like the product. Now let's back up in time. Now, the key to this project was this insulation fabric. I ordered through Amazon because it was much less expensive to do it that way. It was a lot more expensive buying at the box stores. The specific brand is Hanes Insulate Wall and Ceiling Insulation Fabric. It measures 4.5 feet by 300 feet. It more than exceeded my expectations, and it was the exact amount I needed for this project. I have an Amazon affiliate link below for your convenience. If you use my link and purchase a roll on Amazon, Amazon will pay me a very small portion of the sale. The cost is the same to you whether or not you use my link. Now, this fabric is designed specifically for blown-in insulation. It allows for expansion. It also allows you to see through it a bit, which helps when blowing it in. As you can see, I experimented in how to attach it best to the studs. I used my air nailer, which was a little bit too powerful. I ended up using a stapler. I also found that gluing it also helped, and I also glued the studs afterwards, give it more reinforcement. Okay, I have plenty of extra fabric here. I need to make some baffles. You can buy baffles at Home Depot and stuff, but I'm going to save about $100 because I have plenty of this material. And basically, you need an air gap from the roof line to the overhang for the garage. And you need airflow or you're going to have problems in your attic. So again, I'm going to use the fabric and create my own baffles. And what I found is that if I take the fabric of the roll and cut it directly in half and then measure 28 inches, then they will fit nicely up there, and I'll staple them in place. Now on to the ceiling. I experimented with the ceiling. I did not glue the rafters. I used staples. I went back later and glued over the staples and restapled. I made 3 runs this direction, and then I went perpendicular to these 3 runs, which seemed to work a little bit better. Okay, I'm as ready as can be. I'm just waiting for the local hardware store called Power Townsend to deliver the blower. It's also the store for which I purchased the insulation. Now, in addition to stapling the first time, I also glued everything. And I used some Type Bond, more than a half a gallon of that. I watered it down a little bit, and I simply rolled it on. And then in addition to that, I restapled everything. I bought a heavier duty staple gun. The first one I had, I wore out, so I bought a new staple gun and restapled everything. So everything is as secure as can be. Now I'm taking a risk here. I am attempting to blow in the ceiling and do everything in one day. So I didn't want to have to rent the blower twice. So I'll be blowing in the wool in the ceiling, which is a little bit lighter, and then using the cellulose in the walls. The next step is the OSB plywood, which obviously will secure everything, but I just am hoping that everything goes well today. Here's what the attic looks like before the insulation. For the storage space here, I just had some extra plastic around. I had some just some 1x2s and just put around the perimeter, put that plastic so that insulation doesn't come onto the deck. Now, no, there is still 6 inches from the deck to the lower part, and so that'll be insulated as well, just not quite as well insulated as the side areas. Okay, starting the blower for the first time, it was nice. There's a switch right on the hose. It turns on remotely. Didn't know what to expect, and this wool insulation was a little more time consuming than I thought it would be. Now, again, I did it myself, so I had to run down constantly and fill up the hopper, and it just wouldn't blow correctly. I think a more powerful blower would have been better for the wool, which is basically recycled glass. But in time, I got it done. Here's what it looked like when it was fully blown in. Here I'm starting the west wall with the cellulose, which was a lot easier to blow in. I think the blower was meant for the cellulose. I kind of slid 4-inch in each section, about over 4 feet tall. And now with this, you have to make sure that it's high density. It's a 3-inch inner diameter tube, and I reduced it down to about 1.5 inches using some PVC. And then later I simply used my extension for my vacuum. It seemed to work really well. Okay, I want to talk more about the dense pack application, which is what I'm doing. On the back of each package is this chart, and this diagram tells you how much weight you need per square foot. So if you're working on 6-inch walls, which this west wall is, or 4-inch walls, the other wall, then for the 6-inch walls, you need a minimum of 1.6 pounds per square foot. And then the walls that are 4 inches thick, you need a minimum of 1.02 pounds per square foot. So I use this to estimate how many bags I would need for a high density application. And I'm pretty sure I'm accurate because at the end of the project I had no extra bags. I'm confident that I did it correctly. Now it's going to take a while before I put the OSB plywood on, and I'll see if there's any settling, and if so I'll add more, but I think I got it right. Finally, on to the last wall. The sunset is beginning and wrapping things up. I got delivery about 10:30 in the morning. It's about 10 o'clock at night, and full day, but got it all done. Okay, it's been about a week since I blew in the cellulose insulation in the walls, and for the most part, wool insulation in the ceiling. I didn't film it, but there is a crawl space. You get in the attic access, and there's plywood up there raised. And I did use some of the cellulose insulation there in the ceiling as well. But it's been about a week. The fabric is holding up really well. It's a hot summer day here in Montana. It broke over 100 degrees. Yet it's nice and cool in this garage, even though I don't even have the attic access door finished. It's also very quiet. This was a loud garage with all the road noise and that, but it is nice and quiet in here. And for the most part, I really like how the insulation blew in. I was able to do it all myself. Now I'll have to insulate the garage doors. That will be a separate project. I will troubleshoot it, find out a good way to insulate these garage doors, but that will be upcoming. Now the next step is to finish the ceiling and the walls using OSB plywood. Now, if you made it this far in the video, please give me a like. It costs you nothing. but it's of great value to me. I am funding the finishing of this old garage using YouTube proceeds, and the more likes I get, the more comments I get, the better. So please leave a comment. Please give me a like, and we will see you in the next video.